Hi everyone, I just lit our candle. I think I'm going to make this my usual ritual when I come online to be live with all of you. So I'm going to put it here, my little altar. All right, hello, hi, it's Elena from the Witch's Box. Welcome to our Witchcraft, or what is it? What are we doing here today? This is the Witch's Box Q&A for the UnHexing box that we sent out um, for the month of March. It's this month that we sent this out. Hi, Emerence, Emily, Callum, um, Barbara, welcome. I'm so glad you made it. Wonderful. So there are going to be people here who purchased the box or received the box, and those who have not, totally fine. Ask questions as you need. If you did not get the box and you're interested in getting the box, there's a link down below here in the little description section for that box. I don't know how many we have left, but we're down to like the last few. And this is a pretty casual thing. I don't really have a big agenda other than to answer questions, other than, I said that twice, to share with you what my poppet looks like, because there were a lot of questions about what do I put on my poppet. I don't really get the spell. I provided a spell and I can go over that in the box. There were people who were talking about how it didn't look pretty, all the questions that came up around making a poppet and working with a poppet. I'll show you mine. We can go over that. The reality is that making a poppet can be anything that you want it to be. It doesn't have to follow any sort of prescription, as you will see mine, because mine is completely off the plot. But I really find it to be an incredibly powerful sympathetic magic tool. So I really love it. And you'll see I went a little overboard with mine. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share some things from the box and talk until you have questions. Let's do it that way, yeah? So post your questions in the chat box as they come up, and we'll go from there. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the thing that I did not talk about in the deep dive video that everyone who got the box received. So I didn't talk about this. To some degree, it's self-explanatory. It was kind of fun. I found them and I thought, let me just give them to you all. But it's also an opportunity to either map out how you want to create your actual poppet, or you can use these as like a poppet replacement where you're actually drawing and writing words. Some of us like words, so that you can actually put words in different parts of the body to symbolize the magic that you're creating. So that's what this was about. I completely spaced it in the deep dive, and I didn't actually talk about it in the deep dive, so I wanted to bring it up here. But these are fun, and I like that it's kind of like a little bit of a journal where you can put the name and who the doll represents, the desired change, the reason for the change, what you did to consecrate it, whether you enacted a ritual or you sent it anonymously or burn or bury, all the things. This one obviously speaks to how usually in pop culture and also in practice we use pens in poppets when we want to actually curse someone. That's not something I encouraged, but if that's who you roll with or how you roll, then roll that way. You're an adult. But for me, what I love about these is that, especially for healing, when you want to banish an illness or an ailment, I love these. I think that these can be such a really empowering tool. So that's what this was. Let me look in here. Emran says, I didn't sleep well last night because I was so excited after last night's book dive, and the author was so amazing. Isn't she cool? I just love her, and she's so knowledgeable, and the 2 books that she's written are amazing. I'm so excited for what she's doing next. We're talking about Danielle Blackwood because last night was our book subscription witches book gathering. So we gathered live, the author was there, we talked about astrology in all these different ways. It was really good. Actually, I really enjoyed it. They're all really good, but this one, I was just so excited to meet her, and I'm such a fangirl. It was really educational, particularly when it comes to sacred astrology and archetypal astrology. So we're not really here to talk about that, but yes, awesome. It was awesome last night. The UnHexing book from the box, I'm about 3/4 of the way through, and this box was so much fun and useful. Wonderful. Also, I do have the book here. I did a review on this book. I think it came out this last Monday, so if you want to check out the review for this book, that's there. But I have a couple of bookmarks that we can talk about. Let me show you my poppet. So I was going to make a poppet just as an example, and then I actually did a whole spell. So I'm not going to give you the details about what this spell truly is. This is a poppet that represents me. I'm doing a particularly, what feels like really a powerful health ritual or health spell for myself. And I'll go over some of what's in it, not all of it, but this is how I ended up making my poppet. So you don't have to follow the rules. It can be whatever you want it to be. In the spell that I sent you, can you see that? I mean, there's a lot going on here. um, oh, and it smells amazing. In the spell, I'm gonna put this down for a second because she is a little fragile. Where's the spell? Hold on. The poppet healing spell. I give you a really specific way of working with it, but listen, you can take all of these and you can adjust them to what makes most sense to you, or adjust them as you're called. Like if you're doing something and you're following one of these pages and you feel like, oh, that's cool, but I'm kind of feeling called to add this, to that, because your practice as a witch is a living practice. It is deeply tied into your intuition. So follow that. So don't feel like, obviously, I went off the script. This was my spell, and well, this is a spell that is mine, but it was inspired by, is it Dorothy Morrison who wrote Utterly Wicked? It's inspired by a spell that I saw in Utterly Wicked. So I adjusted it a little bit, but that's what it is. But I went off script too, right? So you can do that. But in this, you have the poppet. Oh, and I don't have an actual extra one, but it's a cute little, it looks like this, right? It's a felt poppet in white that had beautiful embroidered outline. I think it was like a dark graphite gray outline, or maybe it was black. That I instructed you in this spell to, once you know, let's say that you have an illness, let's say that some part of your body is being affected by something that you want to banish, yeah. You can do all sorts of things. You stuff the poppet with cotton. You can put essential oils that represent or are supportive of your intention on those cotton balls. You stuff it. You can also put herbs in there. I put a couple of crystals and a couple of like harder botanicals in my actual poppet inside. All the things. You can put something that represents healing in that part of the body that represents perhaps the organ that's having an ailment. Something, yeah? You fill it, and then in this particular spell, I asked you to make a copy of, like, you can just rip it off the internet. If, let's say, I don't know, let's come up with, if maybe you're having kidney issues, you can print an image of kidneys off of the internet, and then when you print it, shrink it, right? Because this is a fairly small poppet, like, I don't know, she's like 3-4 inches, right? Can you even see? 3 or 4 inches, right? So you shrink it down when you print it. It doesn't have to be pretty. And you make 2 copies of this. And then on the outside of your poppet, you can pin it, you can sew it, you can glue it, you can do whatever you want where you put that body part on the outside of the poppet to represent what is healing, what is going to be now fully healed, fully thriving, fully functional. And then you eliminate the disease with the second copy of that organ, right? That's a way to do it, right? Where you just have your white poppet, you've got things inside, and you stick the organ on the outside to represent what you're healing, so that every time you see it, you're reinforcing this is healed, this is a thriving organ, this is beautiful and supple and functional and all the things. You can do that. And then you can do what Elena did, which go overboard. So I'm going to go a little bit over this. So this color that I wrap the body in means something. There's like a little teeny crystal. Can you see it? It's probably not in focus, but there's like a little teeny crystal right here. There are botanicals inside. There are some crystals inside. I used 2 different essential oils that I work with a lot. Some of the botanicals are real and some of them are not, because this is more representative than it is actually about the actual botanical. I used a tag lock. Yes, a long time ago, your girl had dreadlocks, and then I cut them off and saved them, and I've used them very sparingly because I loved what they represented and what they were. I included them in here as a tag lock for me. So we can talk about tag locks and using body parts. This is snakeskin, and these are blossoms, and this is right here, cinnamon sticks. So there's a lot happening here. There's a couple other things that I'm not telling you about, but the whole thing for me represents something. The botanicals that I layered in are supportive of my intention. The color is supportive of my intention. What's coming out of my head, or my crown chakra is representative of something that I'm trying to accomplish with my body. So you can go as big and as deep and as all the things as you want. There you go. And this will sit on my altar, and every time I look at it and every time I sit down to meditate, this is something that I'm reinforcing, right? This is the spell. You can do all the things. The one that I had made for us for the box was based off of what is that called? Like a stencil. But then the artist went a step further and just did this beautiful embroidery all the way around, so that, I mean, if you look at it, at first I thought, this is odd. It looked like ink, but when I looked at it, it's like intricate, beautiful embroidery that she did with her machine. In any case, it makes the boundaries of that poppet really strong. I mean, I stuffed this mother and it didn't tear, it didn't rip, it didn't come apart. So, which is great, but you got one. If you want to make more, it's an easy thing to do to, and maybe later we can maybe post a link somewhere here and in the forum where you cut out a stencil of one in felt and do the sewing yourself, because even in the stitching along the side, that can be part of your spell. Every single time you stick that needle in and you bind those sides can be a mantra, can be something that you repeat, can be an invocation that you can repeat. There's so much you can do with a poppet. Okay, I'm going to stop because there's a lot of talking and I have no idea what's going on. And while I do that, I'm going to take a little drinky drink. Okay, I read that. Oh, Callum is in the middle of moving houses, so I've not been reading or anything at all. All my books are at the new place, but congratulations on the move. Link to replay a deep dive. By the way, love the iron nails and magnets in the box. So the link of the replay and the deep dive is in the forum. Yeah, it's in the forum, and you have access to the forum, yeah, because you're subscribed. So that's there. And those of you who bought the single box after the fact, that link to that video comes in the tracking email and the receipt email that you get once you buy it. So that link is there for you. You don't have access to the forum, obviously, because you're not subscribed, but if you bought the single box. And for those of you who want to buy the single box today, we have the link in the description box. But when you buy the box, you're going to get two emails. You're going to get a tracking email when it gets sent out, but you're also going to get a receipt email. And in that email, there's a link to the deep dive, which is a deeper dive into unhexing and all the things that go on here. Emeralds. The unhexing book from the box. Okay, I read that already. Sorry. You fan drilled over it. Yes, yeah, no, she's amazing. Here's Elena's review of the hex. Thank you, Emily. It looks beautiful. Thank you. Be creative. Follow your energy calling. Yes. Good to go for a bit. I'm going to spend time with my mom. Beautiful. Nanette, hello. So poppets can be used for healing illnesses. I did not know that. Yes. And so let's talk about that, because this is one of the things that I loved. And I know that this is not a book that we had in this box, but we've talked about this book before because it was in another box, another hexing box that we had, which is Utterly Wicked. That book I think is actually quite popular because people who read it started to really talk about it. But there was a lot of like, oh, we don't, the thing, we don't hex, it's not okay. In that book, and in this book as well, we learned that the methods that we use for hexing are just energetic manipulation and magic. It's the same principle. What I use to heal is the same thing that I use to hex. It's not different. And so when we talk about things like banishing and binding and also sending energy, we send healing energy to people, we send loving energy to people, we send peaceful energy to people, we also send curses. We do, oftentimes inadvertently, without being conscious about it, okay? But when you think about a poppet as a sympathetic magic tool, because it's very visually representative of a person, imagine all the things that you can do there. Yes, you can use it to curse someone, absolutely, but you can also use it to banish something that's going on in you, to attend to something that is going on in you, to help ground something in you, to help alleviate pain or suffering in you, right? So you can use it for that as well. It's an incredibly powerful tool because, again, you're creating, especially when you do something for yourself. I think that we had someone here, hold on. I might be conflating two people, but I believe that there was someone here who had asked someone to do a spell on their like loved one or on them using a poppet. So there's also a world in which if you are someone who does spells for loved ones and they ask, you can use this as a modality to help alleviate something for them, right? So it doesn't all have to be negative. It doesn't all have to be harmful. Or if it is harmful, it's harmful with very specific strategic intention, where the harm is really about, I want, let's say, and this is not true for me, but let's say it's a kidney stone. I was using the kidney example earlier. I want to eradicate the kidney. I want to dismantle the kidney, not the kidney stone. I want to banish the kidney stone. Sorry. I want to banish the kidney stone. That, in some ways, that kind of energetic movement can sometimes be construed as a curse, but in this case, is it? Right? So many things. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, hold on a second. Bye, Kellen. Thank you for hanging out. Nanette, so I have a question. What are some books on what poppets can be used for? So in this book, she talks about poppets. The other book is Utterly Wicked, which I highly recommend. There are books on voodoo dolls. So I'm calling them poppets because poppets have been used throughout many, many cultures as sympathetic magic. Voodoo is a closed practice, a closed tradition, and there are ways in which you would use voodoo dolls that are maybe slightly different than the much more looser interpretation that we have here. But there are a lot of books on voodoo out there that talk about using voodoo dolls and poppet dolls as well. But I don't know what those are. So if anyone has any recommendations, please post them in the box. But this book talks about them, as does Utterly Wicked by Dorothy Morrison, which is a phenomenal book. The great thing about that book, I should have brought it out, is that she also talks in a really creative way. Again, get creative with your magic in a really creative way rather than doing them this way. She talked about using, she didn't say Barbie in the book. She called them the plastic dolls that we buy like at Toys R Us. But those plastic dolls where you can remove the head and they have a plastic body. So it's not like this poppet, right? Where I had to, and maybe we can talk about the practicality of it. I had to, because it's a small one, get like half of a scissor like blade and like kind of and try to push things in there because it's so small. A bigger doll has a body cavity that's like naturally hollow but also hard, so you don't have to like maneuver with fabric, where you use those dolls to put very specific magical items and botanicals and things inside, and you build it such that where you get to the place in your body that you want to heal, for instance, you can then lay something in there in that very particular location. So there are a ton of different applications. So those are the two books, this one and the other one that I recommend. She talks a lot about using poppets in that book, Utterly Wicked, that I thought was just fantastic. So I highly recommend it. There's also somewhere in the plethora of videos that we've got here on our YouTube channel, a review of that book. Okay, hold on. Let me see. So I have a question. Okay, I read that. Jacqueline, any ideas as to what I would use to heal migraines, please? You can, so I'm just going to I'm not going to give you like a full-on spell, but I'm going to just riff. If we're talking about the poppet and the healing and using the body, a cotton ball with lavender oil. Lavender has been great for relieving headaches. Sometimes that aids in alleviating migraines. You can do that. Along with perhaps like a little, I was looking at, I have a box of old things that are kind of sacred things that I've kind of saved. And in it was like a little, a spell that I typed out and then I cut. So it was like a little teeny strip of paper. You can do something small like that where you actually write the intention of elimination and put it in there along with like lavender oil to eliminate it. Sometimes migraines though are hormonal. Sometimes migraines are also about inflammation. So something, I have cinnamon. So cinnamon and things like that that help flush that kind of inflammation or body ailment out of the body. You can put those in there as well. But if anyone else has any ideas, please share them. Hold on. Oh, yay, BJ. I'm glad that you made it to the live. Right. And Emerence brings up a good point that the angry, energetic feeling that you have towards others is actually a form of hexing, and only hexing, cursing, jinxing. I mean, yes, whenever you're having, like, especially when you have unattended to issues, which we all do, And someone pisses you off, someone does something, and you just keep perseverating, like, you know how you do, right? We all do this, where we've been at least once in our lives in this position where we're constantly like going over the situation. I should have said this. I can't stand this person. Why is this person like this? You go on, you go. You're sending that person energy. Like, be conscientious of what you're doing. Every single thought you have is an energy form that you put out into the world about yourself, about everything around you, about the world at large. And so this is why she addresses this in the book. This is why often when people have asked me, how do I know if I'm cursed? It's like, usually you're not. Usually it's not that someone has very intentionally said, I am going to curse so and so, and I'm going to send this specific thing to so and so. Usually it's that we're picking up crap as we go, because the whole world, especially when it's so reactive right now, the whole world's constantly in this like mental like storm and just messily putting that shit out there, and we're all picking it up. So it talks about it in the book. We've talked about it in the various times that we've all gotten together. We all need to have, as a form of self-care and responsibility, a daily cleansing ritual where you use your bath time, because if you don't have time, you've got kids and it's like, who has time to be at the altar? Every time you shower, every time you take a bath, make that a ritual of like, I am releasing all of the picked up, not me, not well-serving energy that I have may have been thrown at me while I've been out in the day, right? You can use smoke, you can use botanicals, you can use mists, you can use carrying different crystals and clearing them every so often. All of these things. Leave your shoes at the door. It's not a Southern California shishi foo-foo thing. It's you've been walking on all sorts of grounds, picking up who knows what. Leave it at the door. Don't bring it in the house, right? There are all these different things that we can incorporate into our day-to-day life that are simple, that can just be easily incorporated into our behavior. That is a constant state of like, I'm releasing it all. I'm letting it go. I'm cutting it loose. Because those are the things that affect us the most, because they accumulate. And they're not necessarily intentional curses aimed at you as much as it is that we just picked up a bunch of stuff. We picked up a bunch of people's projections and their stories about us, and that stuff affects us. Especially, I mean, it always affects us, but as we become much more adept at being connected, much more responsive to our environments, and we are reactive, much more powerful in our witchdom, we feel it more. But it's always been there, and all those things drain us of our power. So the more that we, on a regular basis, just incorporate the daily cleansing, we eliminate a lot of, like, a good chunk of the issues that we're facing. Yes, there are going to be situations where someone very directly sends something in your direction, and a book like this gives you all sorts of remedies for that, which is just so great. Everyone should have this book. Hold on, let me drink a little drinky drink. So Nanette, hold on a second. Let me make sure I didn't skip anybody. No, I did not. So Nanette says, I don't have problems with hexing as long as you try other things first. Right. And here's the thing. And we've talked about this also in other, my job here is to educate, and it's not to issue morality clauses for people. Do as you need to do and be responsible for whatever consequences come your way. And as you continue to be a witch that practices their own self-facing, your own, your meditation, your own psychological and physical healing, you will become less and less reactive throughout the course of your life. Oftentimes, hexes and curses are about that initial knee-jerk reaction to, you hurt me, boom, I'm going to hurt you back. You don't like me, boom, I'm going to like unlike you back, right? We're in this very childish back and forth, and we as practitioners who are mature would be more likely to respond to the underlying dynamic that caused that behavior to begin with. And oftentimes when we try to address that underlying dynamic that created that behavior to begin with, it's not about the cursing, it's about dismantling some sort of belief system, some sort of expectation, some sort of misunderstanding. Does that make sense? And so the more mature we become, the less likely we are to like respond with harm. The more likely we are to respond with healing, or to respond with, I got to disengage. I got to move on. And this is not where I need to be. And so there is that element to it, right? Where we really need to continue to work on our maturity, to work on our increased skill and understanding and capacity for connection, so that we are really dealing with what is really happening here. What really caused whatever it is that makes me want to just kick that person in return, right? So thank you, Nanette, for bringing that up, because yes, it's, and that and what I said earlier, which is we need to be constantly cleaning our space up. We need to constantly be in a space of tending to our energy and clearing things that attach themselves to us unknowingly. That's part of the witch's work. Carla, I think there was hexing at the Oscars. There was something going on at the, well, I have a lot of thoughts about what was happening at the Oscars, and I don't know that I want to derail us there, but I'm still sitting with that. We had a conversation, half of the team met the other day, and it was like, I just can't even get, maybe later I'll mention something, because I feel like it was a study in how we're still very much in our trauma responses and completely unaware of how deeply in our trauma responses we all are as a society, and it's a problem. A problem. Okay. Ultra, the theme of next month's box is divination and using a pendulum board and a pendulum. So thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to just stick this in here that those boxes are super delayed because the group that was making these beautiful brooms for us caught a wave of what are we dealing with right now? I've just blocked the name of this illness out. COVID. Oh my God. Got a wave of COVID and they had to stop production. So we are now waiting, basically. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, that is the theme. Oh, I was thinking of things I would use to add to the poppet. Yes. Okay, wonderful. Oh. Okay, sorry, I skipped. I never heard of voodoo vents. Interesting. Oh, Erica, hi. We have two Team Witchery people. That is my Erica, right? Yeah, that is our Erica. Okay, we have two Team Witchery people here on our chat box. I'm doing that murmur in my mind about someone. Oh, I'm like murmur. I got it. Elizabeth says, I know feverfew can be used medicinally to treat migraines. Oh, perfect. That's a great suggestion. Emerald says migraines, also the jaw, the tension, TMJ also might be an issue. And it's also a connection thing. What are your thoughts repeatedly going on with? I used to get them almost daily. Oof. And we've got the team. We've got half the team here. All right, hold on. Let me drink. So the other thing that you can put in, because you can use your poppet for, I'm making noise. Sorry. I'm going to take these pages out. You can use your poppets as a representation of yourself, as also part of the protection magic, right? So we sent you eucalyptus leaf and we sent you bay leaves, two really easy to access herbs and botanicals, and just beautiful. They're both great for repelling negativity, for banishing negativity, for protection. They're both great for protection. They're also, is this true for both? No. I love bay leaves. They're ubiquitous, number one, but also they're just fantastic for easy magic. They're always on hand. They're great for writing something down, then you burn it and boom, it's gone. They're great for clearing the space if you want to like cleanse something with smoke. Bay is beautiful for that. There's a lot that you can do. And then if you combine the bay with the eucalyptus on incense like a charcoal and burn it, it smells so good. I actually like to combine it with bay and eucalyptus and copal. Copal is like my resin of choice, but myrrh is great for it, and so is frankincense, and what is the other one? I'm having a complete mental block, but those three resins, and there's another one, but that combo is really fantastic. The smell is beautiful, but it's a great clearer. And you also, I mean, we're not really talking about clearing space, but also clearing energy is important. Clearing your home is important. You know that I am a massive advocate for salt. Salt is easy, it's cheap, it's accessible everywhere you live. Salt in a bowl is also a great energy neutralizer if you feel like you've got something going on in your space. Okay, so both of these you can put in your poppet. Both of these you can go ahead and use as protectors or repellents of negative energy. But I like the idea of also, and I didn't do this for mine, but like using mine's falling apart now. It's of making a poppet of yourself for protection and putting protective botanicals and things inside as a way to keep a protection spell going on you. So I love that. Beautiful, beautiful. It just smells so good. I just want to bury my nose in my Emily says, oh my goodness, our local garden center, we're giving away free loose bay leaves out of the front of Mother's Day. I stocked up. Yeah. And it's so, I mean, it's so ubiquitous. It grows so beautifully. It's a very hardy tree. It's not, at least I'm going to knock on wood, at least not that I know of right now. It's not a botanical or a tree that is on the verge of being over harvested. It is a highly accessible botanical that does a lot of great potent things that we can use without depleting. So, you know, there are other things that we use way too much of that we really shouldn't be using too much of. We really shouldn't be using dragon's blood anymore for anything. Like, the trees are just really struggling to keep up. There's a lot, but bay and eucalyptus both highly, highly accessible, highly, highly powerful, and highly, highly versatile in what you can do with them for your magic. Lemongrass as well for migraines. Wonderful. Rue and mugwort for protection too. Yes. Rue is hard for me to find here. Elizabeth, how long does the poppet work? The poppet works as long as you keep activating it, right? So you can do a couple of things. When you do the poppet work, you can give it a timeline so that if it's an actual spell, like you don't want to keep it open-ended, especially if it's a healing that you really want to have happen in a very specific amount of time. You don't want to have it linger forever. So you give it a certain amount of time and then you end it. Then you bury it, or you destroy it, or you burn it, or you like let it go. For something like this, I would keep this going, and I would keep activating it with the same oils that I used inside to kind of keep anointing it on my altar until what I've asked for or what I'm spelling for actually comes to fruition. So it just depends on what you're doing. If you're dealing with healing something that is terminal, that is dangerous, that can create a very high level crisis, and you're like, 3 months, right? You give it a time, you give it its timeline and its lifeline. And when it's done, and then you have to let it go. Emerald says, to me, time it with the moon cycles. That's another way. So you can time it with the moon cycles. You can time it with your tolerance, or you can keep it going until it's done. Great to be here with you all. Thank you, Elena. Heading to the workshop now. Bye. Mwah. See you later. Emerald's time, yes. Nanette says, I don't do hexes because I feel like there's way too much anger going on right now without me doing anything, and I try to do as much as possible to heal this world. Yes, thank you, because we need that. Absolutely. We are in a state of, I mean, look, it's been I'm not even going to say 3 years, because if you were in the United States, and even if we are not on the same political page, you and I, ever since 2016, we have been on a road to hyper reactivity and hyper divisiveness and hyper anger on a level of which no one really alive in these generations has ever seen before. There's something to be said that during World War II was pretty bad as well. So we had that stressor, and then we had a pandemic, and now we're having this insane war, and all of these things are happening. So we are all on edge. We are all dealing with a high level of trauma symptoms. We are all really sensitive and drained and depleted. And so the capacity for reacting badly, as we saw a couple nights ago, is really high. And so there is something to be said about, do you have the capacity? I mean, look, there are people who want to hex the patriarchy and who want to banish and curse and bind like thought forms and cultural practices. I don't know that I even want to get into that, because there is something to be said about that kind of magic. But what happens with magic and what happens with energy is that if you hold an energy frequency, let's say of anger and hate, what is around you is going to start resonating to that anger and hate. it becomes its own magnetic. So then again, you are the witch that you want to be, and we make choices about what our road is. Sometimes being a witch is really just about power to get what I want, and the means doesn't matter. But also, we have an opportunity as witches to really walk in the world as a conduit for really deep connection and influence. So, what makes most sense? To respond and resonate to the anger and to the hate out there by matching it with your own, or to hold the space for love and to hold the space for peace and to hold the space for healing, so that slowly over time, that's the influence that you have in the environment around you, and the world and the people around you can begin to resonate to that, right? And this is why I say that the more mature we become, the more adept we become at our own personal self-mastery, the less likely we are to hex in reaction to something done to us. And more often than not, we would respond to it by dealing with whatever caused it to begin with, by tuning into what really happened here. Not the story in my head, not the story coming from someone else. What was really happening here? And recognizing that we oftentimes carry a bunch of stories that have nothing to do with reality, but everything to do with our hurt reaction or our unattended to wounds. So it really requires a high level of constant personal development so that we can continue to hold space for the things that we really want to stand for and the things that we really want to create in the world. Okay, I can talk about that. I'm a little soapboxy, sorry. No, I am not sorry. I am totally soapboxy today, and there it is. That's what you get. Okay. I'm just saying that I don't get upset with others for doing it. Got it. Yeah, I know. Nanette's like, girl, I didn't ask all that. Jenny, how do you dispose of poppets when it's time to let them go? You can dispose of them by burying them. You can dispose of them by burning them. Either one of those two things works well. Some people dismantle them and kind of like reuse what's inside. I don't recommend that because it was a thing that you intended for that particular use. So either you burn them or you bury them. Which, by the way, also, Jenny, excuse me, is, what was the word? Because of that, because the burning or the burying, do try to make every effort that you can for it to be as compostable as possible. Clearly, mine is not fully compostable. Everything in mine is natural with the exception of the plastic flowers. So you want to be mindful of that because you don't want to burn plastic. That's toxic, and burying plastic in the ground is also just not going to decompose. Emran says, instead of sending them negative, angry, energetic energy, send them energy to go away. That oh my God, why can't I read today? That they who are upsetting you are able to find their bliss elsewhere and away from you. Wish them well. Yes. And then they become someone else's headache. Sad to say, but true. Nanette says, yes, we have, and I agree with you about 2016, and I'm in the United States. It's been rough, man. The whole world's been feeling it, but it's just been rough. Virgo, I can't wait to get my first box next week. Woohoo! Yay. Virgo Phoenix Rising. If you are talking about the April box, I don't know if you missed it or not, but those are going to be late. Very, very late because the one person that was making one of the cool things of the box has been delayed. So all of you, please send us really great, speedy delivery vibes. Hi, Jolmar. Welcome. Jacqueline, welcome. Oh, no, Jacqueline, you were here. Okay, sorry. Nikito, I'm new to this channel and I love your videos. Any recommendations on books for a beginner? Oh my goodness. It depends. Yes, actually the one that just came to mind. The book for beginners that's really great is Intuitive Witchcraft by Estrella Taylor. Intuitive Witchcraft by Estrella Taylor is a great book for beginners. I mean, all witches should be reading it, I think, and it's really fantastic. We are also a fan of Estrella here on the channel. What else? Are there any other questions? You know what I wanted to do really quick as a potential, because we talked about poppets. I'd love to hear what other brainstormy creative ideas you all have about other ways to use poppets, because I go through my fads in terms of magic that I like to try and use, and then I have my kind of go-to tried and true methods, my down and dirty quick ones, and then my ones that and I've been talking about the fact that I really have loved oh my goodness, Aidan Wachter's Black Book method, I think is fantastic. I've loved it. I'm also a big user of sigils. And because I'm arty crafty, I'm really like loving having the physical, like every single time I bound it, every single time I put something in here, it was like a reaffirmation of the intention, which I loved. I also get to, we can talk about tag logs. Tag logs are such a powerful thing to use in any spell. But I'd love to hear or have you all kind of do a quick riff, like what other methods or what other intentions could you or would you use a poppet for? Go. And while you do that, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to pull out the book really quick to kind of give you a little reading. Emran says, speedy vibes, my notifications for the books. Oh, the books are out. So the books, you'll get them quickly because you're so close to us. But the books all shipped yesterday. But the box, the box, that, my love, that it's like the first child, the one that like, oh, needs some encouragement. It's going to be late. It's just what it is. One day, maybe I'll get over the stress of it all. We'll see how it goes. Okay, I read that. Emily, thank you. She put the link up to the video reviewing the Intuitive Witchcraft book, which is fantastic. Emran says, I'm using the paper one as a template for crocheting. Oh, perfect. One that crocheting one. Oh, yes, one of the December books. Yes. The Touch the Feel of Hex Twisting book. Yummy. I know. I'm embarrassed to show you. I mean, I've already put it up there to show you all because the longer I have the book, wait, hold on. The longer it becomes, or the more it becomes all greasy. Do you see how embarrassing? All of my, I am just embarrassed. But yeah, I love the way it feels. I love the way it looks. I love the combination of the shiny and the matte finish, or the satiny matte finish. And then of course my lotioned, oiled up fingers, just make everything, my whole world is greasy at this point. I mean, that's probably not a very attractive thing to say, but it is. I'm a moisturizer. Oh, this is what I'm going to say. Let me read this. I'm going to find this really quick. I'm going to just give you like a little something to take away. It's in the very beginning of the book. This is in no way in replacement of the book because I really highly recommend that you should all get the book. Again, the link to the whole box is down below. There are, I think, 3 spells in this box with items for it, and then the 2 herbs and the book. But this, because this question comes up so much, right? Like, how do I know? How do I know if I'm cursed? How do I know if someone sent me something? So I'm going to read you 2 lists of potential symptoms, and then a little protocol that she has. So this is straight from the book, from Diana Rachel, and the review of this book is this last week's video review here on YouTube. Okay, so external curse symptoms. Runs of bad luck exceeding 5 to 7 adverse incidents within 1 week. They can include items breaking, messages failing to deliver, and missing opportunities or fun events by only moments. It often involves at least one catastrophic personal event. Another symptom is unusual, persistent, and frequent hostility from strangers. Another one, quarreling at home and with coworkers when it's outside the norm. A general feeling of oppression in your home, especially in places that you sleep or relax. A string of failures connected to specific endeavors when other projects remain unaffected. A poltergeist-like activity in your home, vehicle, or workplace, cabinet doors opening suddenly and violently, items falling off of shelves, loud noises such as banging and hitting. So those are external curse symptoms. Internal curse symptoms. Catching illnesses more often than usual, even when it is not cold or flu season, flare-ups in existent chronic illnesses that are out of sync with your typical patterns. Abnormal bodily sensations like chills or heat, pressure, sense of electric currents, usually concentrated in the heart, spleen, solar plexus, throat, or sacral chakras. Feeling invisible bodies attaching to places on the aura. and dizziness, inability to concentrate, difficulty grounding and centering, and such exercises failing to help you reorient. Exacerbation of addictions and addictive coping behaviors. This is not limited to only substance abuse, but also applies to toxic relationship patterns, such as contacting an abusive ex-partner or friend. Unusually low impulse control that can't be explained by medication, such as eating and drinking things that you know will cause distress. And sleep disruptions, nightmares, and excess sleep. So then she's got a very quick preliminary protocol. Like if you feel like you've got this, do this first. Try to ground and center as best as you can. Repeat grounding exercises multiple times a day. You can find exercises for these skills on the internet. You can take a bath or a shower. You may want to mix yourself an herb bath using the ingredients listed in Chapter 3. You can perform an egg or fire cleansing. Instructions for this are also in Chapter 4. Reiki can help in many but not all circumstances. See a practitioner and heal what you can. Assess the day after your session. What, if any, negativity remains? So that's just a list, like a general list of potential symptoms that something is going wrong. In terms of things like anxiety and disorientation, always still, and she talks about this also in the book, always still, first and foremost, go to a professional, go to a doctor, and just check yourself out. Make sure, rule out that there's an illness, rule out that there's something that just needs medical attention. Don't ignore that. Don't just default to, I'm being cursed. Check it all out. You want to check all of possible reasons for these things to happen. But it was an easy read, and I just wanted to share that with you. Those are some of the symptoms that may indicate that something has been sent your way. Okay. Yes, I love the subtitle too. Counter magic spells for the irritated witch. I love it. Oh, mine is so beaten up already. UnHexing book is getting abused, unfortunately. And that says, I think a great use of the poppet would be to bring peace of your life or home. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And how often do we do spells on ourselves, right? We do spells for things, right? I want this, I want that. But how often do we do spells for our physicality, for our body, for our state of being, for our state of mind? It's a really lovely thing to explore and a very empowering thing to explore. Michelle, hi. I use poppets for healing family members or clients. Beautiful. With their permission. I use sigils. Yes, that's another one. Great one to remind me. Use sigils inside or sigils on the outside. Beautiful. Reiki love energy to the poppets. Crystals. Create a separate altar for healing purposes. Yes. Yes. Jenny says, a poppet for my kids to take in their backpacks to keep them feeling positive and safe at school. Beautiful. Nanette says, I think I might have a hex on me. I mean, get the book, because she goes into all sorts of things at varying degrees to use to address the thing. You always want to start with the least effort antidote or cure or response. Clean your space. Do cord cutting. Do a smoke cleanse. Like, do those things that are easy and accessible that we all really should be doing every single day to see if that alleviates, and then ramp yourself up as you need to. And the book talks about how to do that. Emerence says, you might not necessarily hexed, but residual energy of everything home thing. Yeah, so always deal with the residual stuff, clear it out first, and then see what's left, and then keep working on that. Hold on. There was something that one of you said. Sorry, I think that was complete. Okay, I just needed to check in because I wasn't sure if I was complete with what I said. Not okay. Yes. All right. So this is fun. This is the second time that we have addressed hexing in our boxes. The first time was October of, I don't remember, like 2019 maybe. Yeah, I think it was 2019. That was a great box. That also came with a fantastic book. I still recommend that. And if you didn't get the box or that book that time, the Utterly Wicked book is really an excellent book that we should all have read. Same thing with this book. I think Jill Mar, it was you. I have a note somewhere in this disaster of my desk for one of the books that you recommended as well that talks about hexing. or unhexing if I'm not mistaken, which I think I'm going to try to like find in here and get that as well. I love that. I often consciously live within spells for myself and my beloveds. Can you share a little bit more about that? That would be wonderful to hear about. And Annette says, I have been going to the doctor and no matter what I do, I can't get rid of my symptoms. Try a poppet to address it. And also we really, I need to just put something out. And you all, I've been working on a lot of things. But there's a newsletter that I have in draft form that I wanted to send out. But maybe what we need to talk about is like a quick list of what needs to be done on a daily basis to keep our energy clear. Because that, I'm telling you, if we really all had a pretty disciplined and consistent protocol for the daily releasing of things that may have attached to us throughout the day. I mean, I don't have any scientific evidence. This is an assumption. I would suspect that easily 90% of our interfering energy that's disrupting our lives would be done and gone. Because we are so open and we are all so reactionary in every direction that we're all bombarded daily, no matter who you are. No matter if you have not a single enemy in the world, no matter anything. We are just always bombarded. If we were on a consistent basis, clearing that stuff daily before you get up, when you get up, when you leave the house, when you come back from wherever you've been, when you shower, all the different things that we can do that are small behaviors that we just weave into our daily behavior, our daily routines. I really suspect that 90% of the stuff that attaches to us would be done and remedied. And then it would make it even that much easier to identify, this thing that's happening right now is super different. It's very powerful. This isn't the daily stuff. This isn't the daily garbage, the noise. This is something very specific. It makes it easier for you to identify when you've been cursed or hexed. I'm pretty public, right? Like I'm out. And I'm certainly not an angel. I certainly have upset people and said things and done things that have left people not happy. And for the most part, right? Like I'm pretty cool, not gonna lie, but I take care of the shit. And it made it very easy, at least the last 2 times, to really identify, that is a specific target. That is a specific thing sent my way. It makes it easier because you become much clearer. Your field is much clearer so that you're much more capable of identifying when it's something very targeted, very specific, very intentioned, and then you can address it. Yeah. By the same token, and this is not necessarily the topic of this video or the book box or the box, but it also goes hand in hand with yes, clear, yes, cleanse, yes, ground, but also yes, protect. Always set up your protection. Always, 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 always. Those are things that just need to be woven into our day-to-day. The cleanse and the protect, the cleanse and the protect, the cleanse and the protect. Excuse me. Yes, beautiful, Jilmar. I also visit my acupuncturist to clear energies. Always, yeah. It's great when you have access to that. Monica, do you have a list of all the books that have been sent out in all the book monthly boxes? Yes, we do. I'm a relatively new subscriber and want to go back to it. Okay, so Emily, if you're still here, I don't know if you're still here, but if you're still here, can you put can you add the link to, we have a page on our website that lists all the books that we've ever sent out and recommend, and you have links to all of them. So I don't know where, if you go to the website, I actually don't know where on the website there's a link to that, but it's there. But if Emily, you're still here, if you can post a link to that, that would be lovely. Jilmar says, upon awakening, throughout moments within the day, before bedtime, I speak spells, health, healing, protection, motivation, grounding, intention. Beautiful. Yeah, and I love when we get to that point as a witch. You get to a point where literally you're so aware that what you say and what you think is a spell every single second of every day. Listen to me. Every single second of every single day, whatever you think and whatever you do is a spell. Everything is a spell. And when you really become super conscientious of that, you begin to realize that you're in a constant state of weaving your reality. You're in a constant state of weaving your magic. And so, like Jomar, beautiful example, you're constantly speaking these spells to yourself, to your environment, to the world around you. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that Emerence, are you responding? Maybe you're responding to someone, I think. That would be really useful, Elena. I don't remember what was really useful. Thank you. I'm glad that you thought so. I don't remember what you're referring to. So, and then Jill Mar says, I use clearing grounding directives through smoke candles upon awakening. Yes. Sorry. Hold on. Nanette said that would be great. I would love it if you would do a video on that. Okay, so I'm so sorry. Your girl lost the plot. Jacqueline and Nanette, what did I say that we need to do, that I need to do? I don't remember. Was it the list of things that we need to be doing every day? I think it's that. But remind me gently. Don't, I think I said this the other day in the workshop. Judge me gently because I'm talking about a lot of things and I have a hard time tracking myself. Okay. Thank you, Emily. Emily posted the link to the list, Monica or Michelle. No, Monica. Wait, who is it? Monica, sorry. So Monica, Emily just posted a link to the page that has all of the links for all the books that we've ever sent out. And Michelle says, daily running of the earth and cosmic energies through your chakras is a great clearing. Also creating a protection bubble around me and checking that bubble daily. Exactly. Thank you. Jamar uses music, mindful even of the checkout clerk at the food market. We have to, yeah, beautiful. I mean, but you're an elder. You've been at this for a long time. These are great lessons. Thank you. Tending to the sacred. Yes. Yes. Everything is a spell. Emerald says everything is a spell. Words have power, even in the Bible. Anything after the sentence I am, you speak into being. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yes, a list of daily things. Thank you. I know, because we're list of the daily things. Beautiful. All right. Lovely. We've been at this for an hour. Let me know if there's any like last burning questions. This might be something for Tuesdays, but let me think really quick. Carla says salt dough purification dolls could be made. Oh, say more about that. That would be beautiful. But yeah, salt dough, right? You make, it's almost like a Play-Doh, yeah, that you make into purification dolls. Anointing, yes, I am oily too. Yes, I am an auntie, sweet, wonderful ones. Yes, she is, and she's got a lot of wisdom in that beautiful poetic voice of hers. Yeah, you can make a protection poppet. Well, I'm gonna explore that and maybe write about that too, because I think that would be fantastic. Protection poppet. All right, my loves. This was awesome. Thank you. Again, for those of you who didn't get the box, if you want it, we still have a couple left. There's a link down below in the little description box below. And that's it. There's no other real announcements before we go other than, yes, the books went out yesterday. Boxes are delayed. We'll see. I have no idea when they're going to go out at this point. And I think that that's it. There's no other major announcements. Hi, Carla. Welcome. You can totally catch it on the replay. And that's it. I think that that's it. So all you know, all the things. If you're not subscribed to the box, subscribe to the box. We're going to be digging into some great stuff in the next few months. I'm really excited about the May box. It's kind of beautiful and close and dear to my heart. yeah, like that. There's also the book subscription because we do a lot of learning and reading here. And that's it. All right, my loves. Have a wonderful day. It's Wednesday. The next time I'm on here live will be Friday for a free live guided meditation that we do together every Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. So if you want to have a moment where you step out of your life to have a ritual moment through YouTube, I mean, who knew? Come join us because that's going to be happening on Friday. And that's it. We have, for those of you who are subscribed and have access to the Witch's Box forum, I would love to see what you do with your beautiful poppet dolls. But also for those of you who bought it and don't have access to that forum, you can create a thread for this in the Witches Gathering forum, which is free for everybody. All you need to do is create a login, and the login is kind of like the wall of privacy, so that if you're not logged in, you don't see what's going on in that forum. But if you do log in, then you get to see it and participate. So we can also talk about this further there. Thank you. I enjoyed it too. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you joining and hanging out and talking magic. That's what we do. And we'll be back on Friday. So join us for a live guided meditation on Friday to kind of end our week on a really good connected note. All right. Take care, and we will see each other soon. Bye.